What's going on, Cancer? And welcome to the Chariot Friends. Justin here, and I hope you're feeling incredible today. So, for those of you who are returning, welcome back, Soul Tribe. I appreciate your subscriptions, your likes, and shares. Your support really does mean a lot to me, and it keeps us growing. And for those of you who are new, welcome. I'm happy Higher Self has brought you here. We are in for an amazing journey. Now, the purpose of this channel, for those of you who have Cancer in your placement, Sun, Moon, Rising, Saturn, wherever, Cancer, this one's for you. And I do tarot card spreads based off our ruler here, the good old Moon. And I'll talk about what sign she's in, what phase she's in, when she's going void, of course, just all of those lunar shenanigans. And just so you're all aware, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one, so take what resonates with you, leave the rest with me. Never force a reading on a situation, and everything will be fantastic, Cancer. Now, let's jump into it. Your space has been cleansed. Gems, feeling lovely. Just good energy all around here, Cancer. Now, Cancer, the moon went void of course pretty early today. She went void of course at about 5 after midnight, and that's going to be Central Time. And then she'll be moving from Aries into Taurus and be entering Taurus at about 2:28. So we're looking at in the morning. So we're looking at about a 2-hour, 23-minute void of course there, Cancer. And with the void of course energy, this is a good time to just kind of meditate, check out, recharge your batteries. And this is also a good time too, or just something to be mindful of. Ooh, something to be mindful of when we're working with these energies is that, people may be less likely to make decisions during this time, or that plans may be subject to changes, just something to be aware of, Cancer. Funny enough, I actually got to use the void of course not too long ago. Someone was trying to get me to where I needed to, well, I didn't need to. They were trying to get a decision, for like right, for me to decide like right then and there. And, at the time I was down for it, like my initial response was like, ooh, you know what? On second thought, the moon is void of course right now, so I don't think it actually would be wise of me to make this decision at this time. But I will respectfully get back to you tomorrow, one of the good buddies of mine. But I just thought, wow, void of course, this is void of course energy, Cancer. Utilize it to your advantage. And then with the moon being in Taurus, you may be feeling feelings of security could manifest. Taurus is very rooted in the material realm. And that's something too, Cancer. The mood is more intimately connected to our physical senses. So, you might be enjoying the idea of like, even just like our home space, but like maybe good foods, if good drinks, Taurus is very much about like comfort type of energy, and enjoying the finer things in life. So that's just something to be mindful of. And also, Cancer, you may be feeling a little more kind of like, when it comes to our sensitivity, might be feeling a little more firm and like a little more unwavering in the energy, maybe a little bit stubborn. And, sure, we could apply that to Taurus as, being stubborn, but it's more so just kind of like fixed energy. Oh, hold on there, Cancer. People are so excited to get to this Friday reading. They're sounding the sirens for us. You might not even be able to hear that, but hopefully you can't even really hear that. But lastly, Cancer, she's in a waxing crescent phase. I almost forgot. And with the waxing crescent phase, this is about developing a clearer foundation and then, refining our game plan as it makes sense for you. And then last little bit, the decks that I'm using. This is the Dreamy Moons Tarot deck. Chariot Friends exclusive. And then the other deck that I'm using is the Anatomy of a Witch Oracle deck. And I'll include links for these decks and other decks that I like using down in the description box below. So definitely check that out if you're interested, Cancer. Whew. But after all that housekeeping, Cancer, take a good look at yourself. Look how beautiful you look. But Cancer, you got the Self card here. It's the general energy of the day. And this is one of the special cards in this deck. It's this card, and then the other card is the Life card, or the Flower of Life. But here, Cancer, I feel like that maybe something going into this weekend. I feel like that getting deep again, Cancer. I feel like that this is an energy of like asking, I really feel like who we are, Cancer, who you are as, maybe this could be applied for like a number of things, but who we are as like a being, who you are maybe as a husband, a wife, a spouse, as a coworker, an employee, a boss. I really feel like that this card is really asking us to time to check in with ourselves and just seeing where we're just kind of at in our journeys. Are we feeling fulfilled in what we're doing? Is this how we pictured ourselves? When wherever we're at in our journey right now, do we feel like we're on the right track? Do we feel like that do you feel that are you feeling, financially secure? If that's something that you've been thinking about, are you feeling emotionally secure? Is there that balance? This I really feel like is asking to really, venture deep here, Cancer. And as deep as it makes sense for you, Cancer. But you know what, too? And I just want to make sure I was looking over, look at that, we're just texting, Cancer. But I was looking at the Queen of Cups in one of the other decks, in the Thoth deck, and I was thinking about our energy, Cancer, and something had sparked up from that I wanted to, oh goodness, this happens every time, now I'm going to be searching. You might want to fast forward through this part, Cancer. But I was thinking about our energy and how we have, how we can reflect other people's energy, Cancer, as water signs and just as Cancerians, just because we are so sensitive to the emotions and the energies of those around us, that if we're not cognizant of it, we can pick up a lot of residual energies around, like outer influences, Cancers. And it can get to this place of where we can almost lose ourselves, in the sense of like, maybe we feel, those ever-changing emotions. Sometimes those aren't even ours. It's like other stuff that we picked up, I remember there was a woman not too long ago. We were waiting on the elevator. Something was happening. And she was, naturally getting a little impatient, kind of real. But the energy was getting hot, and I could feel it, and it's just like, I got to remove myself from this. But that to say, Cancer, one thing too, when I think about this times for like void of course and like meditation and whatnot, it's a good time to find out, work through where our emotions are, where the masses, that energy stops, and where you begin, Cancer. And because this got an affirmation out of this when I was thinking about the Queen of Cups, because the affirmation was, a mirror is still a mirror no matter what it reflects, and that's just remembering, Cancer, no matter what energies you might be picking up on, that you may be reflecting, that you still yourself, and and to not get lost in that, because sometimes I feel like that, and it's just that, not tuning in and not really kind of checking in with ourselves. That's just something to be mindful of. Even when I talk about like checking, syncing up with the moon, if we even want to do something like that, that could be something, see how you feel during this moon in Taurus this weekend. Do you feel more sensual? Are you more snacky? Because I'll tell you what, when the moon's in Taurus, I mean, there's just constantly I feel like I'm just eating throughout the day. It's very comfortable energy, but it's just, do you notice these differences in yourself with these energies here? Or do you not feel anything, And it's just checking in with that, getting it's good to have these self check-ins every now and again, just to really, we should be doing them just like all the time, just regularly checking through yourself throughout the day, just like, how am I doing? What am I feeling? What's, are we good? What are these feelings mine, or was it just someone who just came into our realm? A lot we can unpack with this, Cancer, but just something to think about going into, I love this, ending on a very, very profound note here, Cancer, questioning ourselves. But let's get into some of these a couple more cards, which is going to be how we can work with this energy. Oh, that's a good way to do it, Cancer. First card we got here is the Hermit. And what really, Cancer, what better way to find your light than to venture within? And you know what, Cancer, this is a little bit ahead of time. I was just kind of looking at the forecast for the moon. And when she's in our sign, she's going to be going void of course for a long time. I'm talking like some 30 plus hours. We're going to really feel the influence of Cancer for a little bit. And that's something too, Cancer. When you think about these energies, when the moon is void of course, that's the time when she's not under the influence of the other signs. That's really her like kind of break time, because it's like to be constantly having to adapt, and then depending on what mood she's in, the phases, what mood she's in when she's in this sign, it's just like, I just need a minute. And I feel like that Cancer, when she's void of course, that's another time to pay attention during too, or pay attention to yourself during this energies too, because then at this time, this energy is all yours. Not even lunar influence is happening. I feel like, not that the moon is like, completely checked out, but as far as like any other sort of like zodiacal influences is not on the table here. And I remember too, when I was first really starting this channel and really starting to tune in myself, that very first void of course, it almost felt like there was like a disconnection, like I could feel the energies and stuff, but it felt really weird. It almost felt like I was kind of on my own there, like you kind of like by yourself, feeling like a little just kind of lost in the dark there. And that's something too, Cancer. Maybe when we think about this stuff, when we think about selves and like who we are and whatnot, if we're not sure, that's deep. If we're not even quite sure, how we define ourselves, or where our identity is. That's something to keep, that's something, do some soul searching as that makes sense, Cancer, and be kind to yourself during this stuff here. Even if we're at this place where it's like, oh crap, I don't really know myself. That's okay. This is a judgment-free zone. You're in the safest space here, Cancer. The whole point of me even starting this channel was to help us understand, me included, Cancer, of understanding how our energies work and really being with, because it can be hard too sometimes thinking about the self with how fluctuating the emotions can be, but when we do those regular check-ins, when we're doing meditations, when we're analyzing these emotions as they're coming up and kind of filtering them out, it's like, oh, that's not my stuff. I don't know where I had. Really, you might think you got 99 problems, but 89 of them are everybody else's. I got that from a shirt that I wore the other day. But but it's true though, Cancer. That's something. It's just something to keep in mind. Let's see what are some other ways we can work with this energy. But I really feel like, and however, it doesn't necessarily, however meditation looks like for you, Cancer, it doesn't even have to be, I'm dropping crystals all over the place here. All right, I think I got them all. But it doesn't even have to be where, just like traditional, like just sitting down in like a quiet space and meditating. This could be maybe if you got like a fireplace, or maybe even staring at a candle, maybe staring at some fire if that gives you kind of peace of mind. Or maybe going for a walk or something along those lines, Cancer. But I feel like that, oh man, I feel like this is a powerful pocket here, Cancer. Finding your, okay. Because now it's Major Arcana City, literally. You got the Fool card here, one, and then it came out with the Star card here, Cancer. And I feel like that when we go to discover ourselves and we embark on that adventure, and we really too, Cancer, we feed that nurturing energy in us. Because here's the thing too, I was actually thinking about, kind of like leading by example, and, focusing on self, and how focusing on self does lead to healing for others. There are some times when I feel like that when we're not balanced, Cancer, that we try to nurture and fix others instead of focusing on ourselves, when really the answer is, if we're pouring energy somewhere and it's not being reciprocated, then, it's not to say that we give up on that person, but it's just like, okay, well, my energy's not being brought here. But that whole thing to say, I'm just thinking of nurturing in general, but let's focus on here. I find that when we really focus here, and really start doing those things that that promote our growth and that promote our potential, and really start doing healing work, Cancer, it changes the game up. You know what I mean? Even how we interact with others is differently because they see you putting in the work. Other people get inspired to do that as well. And those who are resonating, it gets to this place where we don't have to look to or feel like we have to force the nurturing or whatnot. It becomes where it's like, oh, Cancer, like walk me through some of your stuff. Like, oh, that's interesting. Like where we start like exchanging notes possibly. But Cancer, this whole thing, I feel like that this is something really exciting that can happen when you can discover self, and that it's going to help in the way that you manifest or create. It's going to help that connection to source, whether it be God, Buddha, Jesus, higher self, future self, whatever, Cancer. There's just so much healing that can come when we do focus on ourselves. And I know that may sound selfish to some, but I'll tell you what, Cancer, it's selfish to think too that we can heal others when we haven't healed ourselves, when we don't take this time to focus on self. Because how can we give any sort of advice or anything along those lines, or think we can provide any kind of guidance when we don't pour into ourselves, if we're not taking care of our bodies, whether that be moving the body, whether that be, what are we eating, are we throwing a bunch of like junk and stuff in our bodies, and even to that regard, Cancer, it's not even like I'm saying you have to be like a model or anything, but it's just more so, are we eating good foods? Are we getting some veggies into our stuff? Are we getting like our, just a balanced diet? Where's our mental state at? When we do all of that stuff, then it makes it to when we go to help others, it makes it more, the experience more poignant, because now we're able to speak from an experience because we've put in the work, we've done the work, and now we can pass along the wisdom that we've done putting in the shadow work, maybe for some others, but it all starts within, Cancer, and really some good healing, and really just wonderful potential too unlocks from this stuff here. The universe really appreciates when we pour into ourselves, Cancer, and really show ourselves some self-love. So, but let's get into some challenges that might come with working with this energies. Oi. Okay. All right, Cancer. So let's see what we got cooking up here. Looks like we got a couple things cooking up. Okay. So for some challenges, this is all one challenge. Okay. So with some challenges, I feel like that this is something where, Cancer, again, I do feel like that there's some healing that can be some really good, and not even just like that there needs to be healing done, Cancer. I feel like that there is some good healing that can come from this situation when we pour into ourselves. And you know what? This could be something too. I'm thinking with this King of Crystals here, and keep in mind, I don't know if I mentioned, this isn't gender specific readings, where you're all King of Stars in this, but I'm wondering too, Cancer, when it comes to self, are we treating ourselves, in the sense of like, I feel like that, where are our necessities in life, because I feel like that sometimes, and Cancer, I'm guilty of it too, where it's like, how's our wardrobe looking? Are we taking care of ourselves in that aspect? Are you running on gym shoes where the soles are worn out and there are holes in it, or have our socks have holes in them? Does our undergarments, does our underwear have any, do we need to freshen up anything along those lines? Because I think that sometimes too, Cancer, that we may feel that those we're like splurging, or that it's like waste of money, or we got to spend money on this stuff or whatnot. But really, those types, especially those types of things, focusing on self and improving self that way, those are investments. Those were really underwear, clothes, good stuff like that. Those are necessities. And just so that we're living, comfortable. Because if we're always just in like discomfort all the time, that's another thing that we're attracting to ourselves too as well, Cancer. And that affects the flow of how it affects the rate that the growth happens too. You know what I mean? It makes it so that it feels like that, things don't come in too fast. And Cancer, when I'm thinking about this Eight of Wands, I feel like that maybe some of us, when we're journeying into find self, what that means. Again, don't let that overwhelm you. That, and it's not something where you're going to get this figured out in tonight. We may not get this figured out in a month. This is something that is meant for the journey. This is for the long haul here. It's like when we take that initial shot towards finding self, then other things start to unlock within us. Then it becomes like that wisdom starts to come in for us here, because the King of Crystals is the King of Swords in traditional decks. And we start getting that understanding, we start doing that wisdom, because wisdom is when we get that intelligence and understanding of ourselves, and then we start putting that stuff into action. If we notice that the body doesn't like certain foods, removing those from our diet. If we know the body needs to be moved X amount of days for X amount of time, putting that into action. But in order to get that wisdom, we need to put in that work here, Cancer. So just something, let's see what are some other challenges that may come up with this. Ooh, Cancer, I tell you, I'm loving these little profound little moments that we're having here. This is nice. Because I tell you, life and self and all of that, when we get into those realms, they are some deep stuff here. And you know what, Cancer? Oh, I'm actually glad that this popped up. When we're dealing with this stuff, you got the five of stars here. We might feel kind of alone in this right now. This might feel where maybe we feel like that we may be behind on the journey. We may feel like, maybe even too, this could be something when we're reflecting on self. Maybe we think about maybe opportunities that we could have, maybe opportunities we could have taken in the past, or, maybe whatever, maybe we start, drudging up like regrets, because Cancerian energy, being tied to the moon, where we can be tied to the past as well. Excuse me, Cancer. But, Cancer, when we're doing this self exploration, this journey and whatnot, it's not meant to bring you down. These questions, these are good questions that you're asking yourself if you're asking this here. That's the whole part. It's challenging who you are and what ways that I can grow. Like, is this really my calling? Is this, and then it gives you too. It just allows yourself, even, because sometimes I feel like that we can feel that something may be wrong if nothing's wrong. You know what I mean, Cancer? But sometimes, when we do a check-in, and if everything's wrong, taking a moment and just like being in that too, just like, oh, life right now, I'm in the presently, fantastic. Like, I'm doing all right. And I feel like that's what's going to eventually become the norm, Cancer. When we start doing these check-ins, it'll allow us to be, or it'll get us in the practice of being more present, because I do feel like focusing on self too, it does allow us to be more present in the moment, because sometimes we do so much involuntarily, or just like, unconsciously. It's when we do start checking in, it makes it a whole different experience, Cancer. So just let's wrap this thing up with some advice here, and then we'll get some oracle cards in the mix. But I feel like by this weekend coming, Cancer, yup. And let's see this one too. Okay. Nice. Look at this, Cancer, to finish stuff off here. Oh, and this is sick. And I'm going to tell you why in a second. You got the World card here, and we got the Justice card to finish off for advice. And you know, Cancer, I feel like that when we take the time to focus on ourselves, you know, and really check in and figure out how our world is looking. You know, what have we been manifesting up until now? You know, have we been conscious with what we've been manifesting? And if there are some weird things that are going on here, how do we adjust that? How do we get this stuff back in balance? You know, because the Justice card, you know, I heard of, you know, it can be a card of cause and effect. You know, if we're not feeling fulfilled with where we're at, what action are we going to take to tip the scales so that we can get back on our feeling balanced again, so that we can feel like we're on the right path here, Cancer? So, and the thing too that I really liked with this, the World card, is it the World card? I want to say it's the World card. I've seen it represented by Saturn, and Saturn is exalted in Libra, and so it's like Saturn feels right at home with Libra. You know, it feels comfortable in Libra sign, and that's just to say that, you know, I feel like this is inviting you to become comfortable in your space, you know, with your energy, and doing those things for yourself to get you back in balance, Cancer. Okay. Now let's get to some oracle cards here so I can get you out of here and get you on this self-discovery this weekend anymore. Okay, so it looks like we got our oracle cards here. Let's switch back over. Ooh, Cancer. I'm with it. So with our first card here, we got the Vision. Now I want to switch over too because I saw it was kind of lagging a little bit. But with this, and it's just getting darker by the second, Cancer. I tell you, but you know what? That doesn't affect our Vision, Cancer. And you know what? I feel like with the Vision card in reverse, if we are in this place where we just don't have an idea of who we are, maybe what we want or whatever, Cancer, it's okay. You know, it's just the fact that we're even checking in right now, that's a big accomplishment. That's a step in the right direction. It's now that we've asked that question, where do we want to do with that? You know, that's where the excitement happens, where the fool's energy comes in. You know, when we take that first step into the unknown, you know, it can be scary at first here, Cancer, but you know what? Because here's some lunar energy for you. These feelings wax and wane, even these feelings of uncertainty right now, you know, or maybe of doubt, or maybe even if we're feeling like upset or something along those lines, as we're going through this journey, it's going to fluctuate, Cancer, and just be in those energies as they come up, you know. Heal from this stuff here. There may be, and you know, Cancer, that's another thing too. This may, while we're doing this journey, who knows what'll come up, you know. Just the discovery of self is a very personal and can be a very vulnerable time for you. You know, make sure, you know, that being said, make sure that we're in, oh, I gotta get used to pointing at this thing. Make sure that we're in a safe space and that we're kind to ourselves, and that we take the time to heal. And then if it becomes too much, put it down for a second. Take a step away, maybe get outside, you know, just kind of get out of that energy for a little while if it becomes too overwhelming, you know, and then just deal with it again as it makes sense. And then with time, Cancer, and with practice and all of that repetition things, the healing will come, and then we can go out there. It's like we can go out there. Where to go? Oh, I lost it. There you are. We can go out there and shine. You know, shine like the incredible star that you are, Cancer. So I'm with that. What a dope way to end a Friday, Cancer. And I hope you like that too. And if so, give it a thumbs up. And Cancer, if you know someone who might be resonating with this thing, because really, I mean, that's a journey for us all, Cancer. We are in this together, finding out who we are. You are not alone with this. And you know, I may not be there with you physically, but know that higher self and I, we are with you there spiritually, Cancer. We are, and the moon's there. You know, we're all connected. You know, look at whenever you're feeling Whenever you're feeling down, if you got good views of the moon, or just, just fine. You know how when I was gone for a little bit, the moon was all over the place. Think about your soul tribe, if that helps, and then if you haven't already, subscribe, hit that bell button. You get notified when I release videos each day. And then you know what? And in the discovery of self, I'm discovering what that means for me in technology. Shameless. I'm getting it figured out, Cancer. And Cancer, little tidbit before getting into the weekend here. I realize they're, not trying to keep you here too long, but I got something that came in. I'm thinking it's going to be a Chariot and Friends thing. Stay tuned for that, Cancer. Even if we need just like a little pick-me-up for the weekend, I may have a present for you, Cancer. Stay tuned. I'm still debating how I'm going to incorporate it. So, and then lastly, check your sun, your moon, your rising. Did I say check what I mentioned earlier, or Saturn? Check your Saturn placement, Cancer. Why not see what ways that you're, speaking of, while we're talking about Saturn, see what ways that you maybe feel restricted, Cancer. And then go over or come on over and check out my other channel, Alchemist 8. I do all the other signs: Virgo, Libra, Aquarius. You got quite a bit of stuff here, Cancer. But I do all the other signs. I do different monthly themes weekly. So it's a good old time. And all that housekeeping down in the description box below. But let me get you a surprise card here so I can get you out here enjoying your weekend. Nice. Ooh, what a strong finish. We got the 7 of stars here. One, I like that, Cancer. And then let's see what else we got here. Witch bottle. I'm with it. You know what, Cancer? I feel like with the witch bottle popping up in reverse, so I'm going to get to that 7 of stars. I feel like that maybe some of us have been feeling like maybe our potential has been bottled up, or that maybe we've had some, I don't know, I just feel like maybe some things that may need to get released, that I think that might have some pent up stuff, when we're discovering self, when we go to uncork, some of these old experiences, or maybe some traumas might come up, or whatever, insecurities, whatever, be mindful, Cancer, when we're going through this stuff here, because you never know what little pockets of things you may discover. But Cancer, know that it is worth it. Investing in you, that is always worth it. In any ways that you can raise your vibration, you water that, Cancer, you nurture that. And that's going to, look at all this water here, yeah, I say let's do it like the stars here, let's just really be at it, just nurture yourself there, Cancer, and be kind and compassionate with yourself. And then watch, once we start putting in that growth, doing a little personal void of course time, it really does change up how our whole world is, Cancer. So just something to keep in mind of, going into the weekend. So I think I'm going to leave that there, Cancer. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave that there. I think I kept you here long enough. So stay safe out there. It's exciting, Cancer. And I'm not saying that to scare you, but I am just more so saying that to just be mindful, when we're, because it can be a hard question sometimes. It might even be a little frustrating, when we think about this stuff, if we don't have if we feel like we don't have the answer initially. So just be mindful, Cancer, okay? And then when you're done, you raise that vibration to the moon, Cancer. And and also then keep eyes on the moon. I just got done doing Alchemist 8 stuff. That's a total Alchemist 8 thing. But you raise that vibration too, Cancer. You can keep eyes on the moon and raise the vibration. Why not? I believe in you. A skill that you've unlocked. And I will get you on the next one Monday.